speaking of trades, and we've talked about two of them, let's talk about a third here. There's another name on the wide receiver market that's been tossed out there a couple of times now for the Pittsburgh Steelers. We've mentioned it a little bit here and there, but we haven't really dove into it as heavily as maybe we should have. And now that things are heating up over there, it kind of feels like it's a more realistic possibility here. So Treylon Burks of the Tennessee Titans is just a guy who's going to come off the bench in Tennessee and contribute and hope to turn into something a little bit more than he has so far. But this offseason, the Titans have added Calvin Ridley. They are reportedly in on Tyler Boyd, bringing him in for a visit last week and then hoping to get a deal done soon, kind of leaving Treylon Burks on the outside looking in when it comes to their depth chart. The Steelers, on the other hand, are looking for a number 2, maybe a number 3. Burks might be that number 3 for them. You're looking at that as an option for the Steelers if the Titans are looking to trade him?
I actually like this one. You know, I don't think this one is a terrible idea. I mean, I when I initially heard it, I was like, no way. This guy's done nothing in his NFL career. I don't. But Treylon Burks, actually, when you dig a little deeper, he's still really young. He's only 24 years old, former first-round pick. And when I'm looking at potential options for the Steelers as far as receivers, I feel like there are a few boxes that they need to check. Need to be able to play on the outside. They need to be able to run block. And yeah, I guess that's pretty much the only two things. It's like you need to be able to run block, and you need to be able to play on the outside. And I think Treylon Burks checks both of those boxes. He took a bit of a step back last year in terms of production. It just didn't seem like he was as involved, but I think there's some, I remember my third thing. You got to be able to push the ball downfield. And I think Treylon Burks can do that. I think if nothing else, Treylon Burks can be a bit of a deep threat for you. And I think that's how he would kind of fit into Arthur Smith's offense. I think he can do those things. And I know you're kind of banking more on potential than anything else here, but I think that potential is there. I mean, if he was able to replicate his 2022 season, which in only 11 games, he had almost 450 yards, he had a touchdown. If you can basically get that or the same rate of production per game as he did during his rookie season, I think you'd be absolutely happy with that. I don't think this guy would cost you a whole lot, and what he would cost you, I think, would be worth it to fill a wide receiver 2 role. I think that helps, Roman Wilson and Calvin Austin fit better into slot roles, which I think they'll be better at. And I think just it might only be a placeholder. It's not a super sexy signing. It's not something that's going to make anyone crazy excited, but I think it'd be solid, and I think it would make the Steelers better. And I think the trickle down effect of helping everyone else kind of fit into their positions a little bit better would really help.
Yeah, I think it's just an upgrade over what you got so far. Like if you're right now, your 4th wide receiver is Van Jefferson and Quez Watkins. Worst case scenario, Treylon Burks a better Van Jefferson and Quez Watkins, or at least has the upside to be. And you could look at him and say there were moments last year where he looked good. I mean, he looked good against the Pittsburgh Steelers at times, and he doesn't have to be a number 2, but he could be your outside guy while Roman Wilson's your inside guy, and has the ability to play both inside and outside, and allows you to do better things with Calvin Austin. Like, that's all they're looking for. People are talking about you need another starter. You do need another starter, but your degree of what you need out of that starter isn't as massive as people are making it out to be. Like, you could look at a Treylon Burks and say, come in here, develop, be a reliable set of hands for Russell Wilson, which is what they're looking for, and allow everybody else to mesh better without having to pull everybody thin. Like if right now Roman Wilson's got to be your outside and your inside guy, Calvin Austin's got to be more of a wide receiver than a gadget guy, Van Jefferson's got to play way more than he should. It just doesn't make a lot of sense. You bring in one more piece to the puzzle who's got the ability to start. You could look at that and say, okay, cool. Now Roman Wilson could do what he does best. Now Calvin Austin could do what he does best. Now we don't have to put guys like Van Jefferson and Quez Watkins on the field more than they need to be on the field. It makes everything else better. I think Burks makes sense. I also think Burks would be so crazy cheap. Like, I think that you could get Burks for a 5th round pick, maybe a 4th round. Man, I think a 4th would be pushing it. I think you could get him for a 5th round pick, probably before training camp, especially after they sign. Like, if they sign Tyler Boyd, which there's like some optimism that they're going to, Treylon Burks could be a guy that's on the market in 24 hours. And if that's the case, who cares? Just get him for a 5th round pick. They're looking to get rid of him. They're just looking for something for him. And then boom, you have your guy. And I'd feel really good about that. And it would shut down the urgency or the need to continue to talk to San Francisco and possibly find yourself giving up more than you should, or Seattle giving up more than you should, or whoever. If you get Burks for cheap, boom, you just solved your problem. You did it for a little bit of exchange or compensation, and you don't put yourself in a hole anymore.
That's the thing. Yeah, you said, they need a starter, but they don't really need a star, I don't think. I
No.
think they have their star. I think you're banking on Roman Wilson being really underrated and giving you some great things as a number two.
Yes.
So I don't think this is crazy. I don't think bringing in Burks to be at worst a wide receiver 3 uh, is a bad move at all. And so I totally agree that he's going to be cheap. He's not a guy that's going to break the bank for you, and it kind of ends all the speculation about all these headaches about having to call San Francisco, having them shut
Yes.
down rumors, having rumors come back up, and everything like that. Everyone can just kind of settle down. They can focus on the football, and just everything gets much more simple if you make this move and you just plug this hole right now.
Yeah, and I think it kind of has a trickle-down effect where if you add a wide receiver now, you get that over with, you could start working on the Najee Harris and the Dan Moore if those things become available, because you don't want to trade Najee Harris before you get another wide receiver, because you're limiting yourself offensively, and you just don't want to do that. You get another wide receiver, you feel good about the passing game, cool. Now we could adjust the running game because there's not such a dire need to rely so heavily on the running game. I just think you could focus more on getting more for Dan Moore. I just think it has a trickle-down effect where you could start working on a little bit of everything. I think it makes a lot of sense. I think if we're talking realistic possibilities, I think Burks is very high up there compared to some of those names.
Yeah, that's the thing. We've kind of had to come back down to earth after, Ayuk gets taken off the table. Sutton and Deebo Samuel get taken off the table as well. We had high expectations, but I think we're all kind of readjusting and saying, all right, this is the reality now for the Steelers. They are probably not going to get another superstar, so you got to make do with what's available. And as far as, like you said, realistic options, Burks is a pretty good one.
Yeah. I think he might be top of the list as we move forward, at least when it comes to realistic possibilities.